The Lui Family Mansion, or Minxiong Ghost House, is indeed steeped in a haunting history that draws both curious tourists and ghost hunters alike. Its Baroque architecture stands as a stark contrast to the eerie atmosphere surrounding its abandonment since the 1950s. The tragic tale of the maid and her alleged affair with Lu Rongyu adds a layer of intrigue to the mansion's lore. The story of her jumping into the well raises questions about love, betrayal, and perhaps a darker family secret. After the family's sudden departure, the mansion became a shadow of its former self, further haunted by stories of the Confronting members who occupied it later, deepening its eerie reputation. Visitors often report strange occurrences, whispers, cold spots, and glimpses of shadowy figures, fueling the mansion's status as one of Taiwan's most notorious haunted sites. Its blend of history, tragedy, and supernatural lore makes it a compelling destination for those fascinated by the paranormal. As the years passed, the Minxiong Ghost House fell deeper into disrepair, nature reclaiming the grounds with creeping vines and crumbling walls. Locals often spoke of eerie sounds drifting from the mansion at night, a soft weeping echoing through the trees, or the faint sound of footsteps on the worn wooden floors. Some claimed to see flickering lights in the windows, suggesting that the spirits within were not at rest. One autumn evening, a group of thrill-seeking urban explorers decided to spend the night in the mansion. Armed with flashlights and cameras, they ventured into the dilapidated halls, excited by the stories of hauntings. As they crossed the threshold, the air seemed to grow heavy, charged with an unexplainable energy. The grand entrance, once vibrant, now stood as a ghostly reminder of the life that once filled the space. As they explored, the explorers stumbled upon an old diary, its pages yellowed with age. It belonged to Lu Rongyu's wife, who had chronicled the family's life in the mansion. The diary hinted at secrets buried deep within the family, a series of events that led to their downfall. References to hidden rooms and lost treasures piqued their curiosity. The explorers decided to investigate further, convinced that uncovering the truth might shed light on the mansion's dark past. As they searched for the rumored hidden rooms, the atmosphere shifted. A chill swept through the corridor, and one of the explorers felt an inexplicable urge to turn back. Ignoring the feeling, the group pressed on, following a narrow staircase that spiraled down into the darkness. The air grew thicker, and the sound of their footsteps echoed ominously. Suddenly, a loud bang echoed from above, startling them. They exchanged nervous glances, the thrill of adventure morphing into a palpable tension. Was it just the old house settling? Or was someone still watching them? They reached the bottom of the stairs, where they found a door partially ajar. A flicker of light escaped from the crack, beckoning them closer. Heart pounding, one of the explorers nudged the door open, revealing a small room filled with dust-covered furniture and forgotten trinkets. In the center stood a large ornate mirror, its surface surprisingly clear despite the surrounding decay. As they stepped inside, the air became still, and a sense of foreboding enveloped them. The mirror, reflecting their anxious faces, seemed to shimmer with an unnatural glow. Just as they began to examine it, a cold breeze swept through the room, extinguishing their flashlights. In the darkness, they heard a soft voice, barely a whisper, calling out to them. "Help me!" In that moment, time seemed to stand still, the weight of the mansion's tragic history pressing down on them. They had come seeking thrills, but what they found was something far more profound, a connection to the past that would lead them deeper into the mysteries of the Lui Family Mansion. The night was far from over, and the spirits within had their own story to tell. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story. The explorers exchanged wide-eyed glances, their hearts racing as the whisper hung in the air. It was a pleading sound, both sorrowful and desperate. Compelled by a mix of fear and curiosity, they stepped closer to the mirror, its surface reflecting not just their faces but something else, shadows swirling behind them, fleeting and indistinct. One of the explorers, Mia, felt a strange pull toward the mirror. "Did you hear that?" she asked, her voice trembling. "We have to find out who it is." The others hesitated, the weight of the decision heavy on their shoulders. But Mia's determination ignited a spark of bravery among them. They gathered around the mirror, trying to make sense of the unsettling energy in the room. Just then, a cold gust of wind surged through the space, rattling the old furniture. The mirror's surface rippled, and for a brief moment, it showed a flickering image of a young woman in a white dress, her face twisted in anguish. "Who are you?" Liam, one of the group, called out, his voice cracking. The image flickered again, and the woman's lips moved, forming silent words that sent shivers down their spines. Mia took a deep breath, driven by a sudden resolve. Maybe she wants to tell us her story. We need to listen. The air around them thickened, and the atmosphere turned electric. As if sensing their willingness to engage, the mirror began to glow brighter, illuminating the room in an ethereal light. They could feel the presence of the spirits growing stronger, as though they were drawing nearer, their emotions palpable. Then, without warning, the door they had entered through slammed shut, sealing them in. Panic surged through the group, but Mia held her ground, fixating on the mirror. "Stay calm. We can't let fear take over. We need to understand what happened here." Suddenly, the mirror's glow intensified, and the young woman's image became clearer. She was crying, and in that moment, they felt an overwhelming sense of her sorrow. The group instinctively reached out, their hands hovering just above the mirror's surface, yearning to connect. In that instant, a wave of memories crashed over them, visions of the mansion in its prime, filled with laughter and life, quickly turning to scenes of betrayal and despair. The young woman was revealed to be Lu Rongyu's daughter, who had witnessed the tragic events unfold, feeling powerless to intervene. As the visions continued, they saw the maid, her face twisted in anguish as she plunged into the well, a moment of desperation that had echoed through the mansion's history. The explorers gasped collectively, understanding now that the maid's death had not only haunted the family, but had left an indelible mark on the house itself. "Why are you still here?" Mia whispered, her voice barely above a breath. "What do you want?" The image of the young woman began to dissolve, but not before she pointed toward the floor beneath the mirror, her expression a mix of urgency and longing. The explorers exchanged glances, the pieces of the puzzle clicking into place. There was something buried beneath them, something tied to the family's tragic fate. With renewed determination, they moved aside the old furniture, their hearts racing with both dread and excitement. The chill in the air deepened as they knelt on the cold, hard ground, knowing they were on the verge of uncovering something that could change everything they thought they knew about the Lui family and perhaps free the spirits trapped within the mansion's walls. But as they began to dig, the atmosphere shifted once more. The whispers grew louder, merging into a cacophony of voices, each one carrying a fragment of the past, each one pleading for release. They were no longer just explorers. They were entwined in a story that spanned decades, and as the walls of the mansion closed in around them, they realized they had awakened something that could not be contained. The night was still young, and the secrets of the Minxiong Ghost House were ready to be revealed. As the explorers dug into the dust-covered floor, the cacophony of voices intensified, echoing off the walls in a haunting symphony of despair. Each shovelful of dirt felt heavy with the weight of history, and a palpable tension hung in the air, urging them onward. "Do you think we should really be doing this?" Liam asked, glancing nervously at the door. The oppressive atmosphere made it feel as though they were not alone, despite the shadows that loomed only from memory. Mia shot him a determined look. "We can't stop now. We're so close." She brushed aside her own trepidation, focused solely on the task at hand. As they cleared the last of the soil, they unearthed a small, ornate box, intricately carved with floral designs that were barely visible beneath layers of grime. Its surface shimmered faintly in the dim light, almost as if it were alive. With shaky hands, Mia reached for the box, lifting it from its resting place. The moment her fingers brushed its surface, a jolt of energy shot through her, and the whispering voices grew quiet, replaced by a singular, haunting melody that seemed to resonate from the box itself. "What is that?" Liam whispered, his eyes wide with a mix of fear and awe. Mia carefully opened the lid, revealing a collection of delicate trinkets, each one more beautiful than the last. There were intricately designed jewelry pieces, small keepsakes, and a locket that gleamed with an otherworldly light. At the center lay a weathered letter, its edges yellowed with time. As she unfolded the letter, a cold gust swept through the room, causing the lights to flicker. The words were penned in elegant script, recounting a story of love and loss, of promises made and broken. It was a farewell letter from Lu Rongyu's daughter, written on the eve of the family's departure. Her heart raced as she read aloud, each word steeped in sorrow. The letter revealed that the daughter had been determined to save the maid from the tragic fate that awaited her. But in her efforts, she had inadvertently set in motion a series of events that led to the family's undoing. The truth was too much to bear, Mia read, her voice quaking with emotion. I chose to silence it, thinking it would protect us, but now I see it only brought destruction. If only I had fought harder. The moment the final word left her lips, a shadow flickered across the mirror, and the young woman's anguished face reappeared, her expression shifting from despair to a desperate plea for understanding. The explorers felt an overwhelming wave of sadness wash over them, an echo of the pain that had lingered in the mansion for decades. Help her, the voice echoed around them, this time more defined. Help us all. Mia looked up, realizing the spirits were not just seeking release. They wanted their story to be told. The weight of the responsibility settled heavily on her shoulders, but she felt a fierce resolve stirring within her. We can help you. We need to know everything. As if responding to her declaration, the air thickened again, and the room dimmed. The mirror pulsed with energy, revealing a series of images, vivid scenes from the past playing out before their eyes. They watched the family's joy turn to horror, the maid's desperation, and the daughter's regret. Mia felt the stories intertwine with her own, each moment pulling her deeper into the mansion's tragic history. She realized that this was not just about uncovering hidden truths. It was about acknowledging the pain and loss that had haunted the Lui family for generations. Suddenly, a violent shudder ran through the building, shaking the floor beneath them. The whispers returned, louder than ever, filled with anger and sorrow. The explorers stumbled back, fear coursing through them as the air grew thick with an unsettling presence. We need to finish this, Liam shouted over the din. We have to give them closure. Mia nodded, her mind racing. We have to confront the truth. We have to finish what she started. As they regrouped, the box remained open, its contents shimmering faintly. They took a deep breath and decided to face the memories that lingered, to bear witness to the pain and find a way to release it. They began to piece together the stories, sharing the history they had uncovered, hoping that acknowledging the past would bring peace to the restless spirits. But as they spoke, the atmosphere grew darker, the energy shifting. The spirits were restless, and the mansion seemed to pulse with a life of its own. They could feel the urgency rising around them. Time was running out, and the mansion demanded resolution. And in that charged moment, they realized that the truth was not just a collection of stories. It was a powerful force that could either bind them to the past or set them free. With the spirits surrounding them, they prepared to make a choice that would echo through the ages, one that could alter the fate of the Minxiong Ghost House forever. The explorers huddled closer, their breaths quickening as they prepared to confront the painful history before them. Mia held the locket from the box tightly in her hand, its weight a tangible reminder of the burden they carried. The shimmering light from the mirror cast flickering shadows on the walls, as if the very essence of the mansion was urging them onward. Okay, let's start from the beginning, Mia said, her voice steady despite the tremor in her heart. We need to honor their stories. As she began to recount the tale of Lu Rongyu's family, the room shifted again. The air thickened with anticipation, and the shadows danced around them as the past unfolded before their eyes. They spoke of love, betrayal, and regret, the threads that wove the family's tragic tapestry. Lu Rongyu was a man of ambition, Mia recounted, her eyes fixed on the mirror. But he was also deeply flawed. His relationship with the maid, filled with passion, became a secret that threatened to tear them all apart. The whispers around them grew quieter, listening intently as they spoke. With each revelation, the temperature in the room fluctuated, hot then cold, as if the very spirits were reacting to the truths being unearthed. Liam picked up where she left off, and his daughter tried to intervene. She wanted to protect both of them, but in doing so, she inadvertently sealed their fates. His voice trembled, reflecting the weight of their shared history. Her guilt consumed her. The image in the mirror shifted, revealing a poignant scene of the daughter pleading with her father, trying to convince him to end the affair before it spiraled into tragedy. But Lu Rongyu's pride had blinded him, and the daughter's desperate attempts fell on deaf ears. As they continued to share the story, the energy in the room pulsed with intensity. They could feel the spirits leaning in, eager for the acknowledgement they had been denied for so long. Then came the night of the maid's death. Mia continued, her voice thick with emotion. A confrontation led to a moment of chaos, and in her desperation, she jumped. The air grew heavy, thick with the weight of that fateful choice. But there was no one to help her, no one to save her. Suddenly, a violent gust of wind rushed through the room, slamming against the walls and knocking over a nearby piece of furniture. The explorers gasped, instinctively stepping back, their hearts racing. The mirror darkened momentarily, and they felt an overwhelming wave of anguish wash over them, the spirit's pain reverberating through their very souls. "Keep going," Liam shouted, gripping Mia's shoulder tightly. "We need to finish this. They need to know we understand." Mia took a deep breath, rallying her courage. After her death, the family fractured. The guilt haunted them all. Lu Rongyu, his wife, and their daughter. They fled, but the shame remained. And now, they are trapped in this cycle of sorrow, unable to find peace. The mirror flickered again, revealing the daughter's face, tears streaming down her cheeks. She reached out, her expression a mix of hope and despair. The explorers felt a powerful connection to her, an urge to offer comfort that transcended time. "Your story matters," Mia said, her voice breaking. "We hear you. We see you. You are not forgotten." In response, the energy in the room shifted once more, the whispers swelling into a harmonious chorus of voices. It was as if the mansion itself was breathing, responding to the empathy they offered. The locket in Mia's hand grew warm, radiating a light that illuminated the room, casting away the shadows. "Let us help you find peace," Liam added, his voice steady now. "Let us share your story with the world, so that you are remembered, not just as ghosts, but as real people with real lives." At that moment, the mirror shimmered and transformed, revealing scenes of the family's life, the laughter, the love, the moments before the tragedy unfolded. It was a celebration of who they had been, a stark contrast to the sorrow that had defined their existence for so long. But just as they felt the shift toward resolution, a piercing scream echoed through the mansion, shattering the fragile calm. It was the maid, her wail of anguish cutting through the air like a knife. The explorers exchanged fearful glances, realizing that her pain still lingered, unresolved and raw. "Help her," Mia urged, her heart pounding. "We have to help her find her own closure." With newfound urgency, they turned back to the mirror, which pulsed with energy. "We acknowledge your pain," Mia shouted, her voice rising above the tumult. "You deserve to be free. Tell us what you need." The shadows swirled, coalescing into the form of the maid, her face twisted in torment. She stepped forward, her sorrowful eyes locked onto Mia's. In that moment, the explorers understood. The maid was not seeking vengeance, but understanding. She wanted recognition for her suffering, for her story to be told alongside the family's. As the air crackled with tension, Mia reached out, her fingers brushing the mirror's surface. "We will tell your story," she vowed, her heart full of compassion. "You are not forgotten. You are a part of this family's legacy, too." The maid's expression softened, and for the first time, the whispers turned from cries of despair to murmurs of hope. The energy in the room shifted again, the oppressive weight lifting slightly. But as they stood on the brink of resolution, a new challenge emerged. The walls of the mansion trembled, and the ground beneath them began to shake. The spirits, both trapped and yearning for freedom, were in turmoil. They needed to release the pain, but the house itself seemed to resist, caught in the throes of its own haunted history. "Together," Liam shouted, rallying the group. "We have to stand together and let them know they're not alone." United in purpose, they joined hands, forming a circle around the mirror and the box. They focused on the shared stories, channeling their energy into a powerful intention to release the pain that bound the spirits to the mansion. As they chanted words of release and forgiveness, the mirror began to glow brighter, the shadows swirling faster around them. The maid's figure became more defined, her anguish giving way to a glimmer of hope. And just when it seemed they were on the verge of breaking the curse that had held the mansion captive for so long, a voice boomed from the depths of the house, a voice filled with anger and sorrow. "Leave this place," it thundered, shaking the very foundation of the mansion. "You have no right to interfere." The explorers felt the ground beneath them shift dangerously, but they refused to be swayed. They focused on the light and the stories, determined to break the cycle of pain that had haunted the Lui family and the maid for generations. "Together, we can set you free," Mia called out, her voice rising above the chaos. "We are here for you." As the voices converged, the energy in the room surged, and the boundaries between the living and the dead began to blur. It was a moment of reckoning, a chance for redemption, not just for the spirits trapped within the mansion, but for everyone who had suffered as a result of the choices made long ago. With a final surge of determination, they poured their hearts into the release, and the mirror shone with a brilliant light, illuminating the entire room. The air crackled with energy, and for an instant, it felt as if time itself had paused, holding its breath in anticipation. But what would come next? Would they succeed in their mission to free the spirits? Or would the shadows of the past drag them back into despair? The answer lingered just beyond their reach, waiting for them to take the final step into the unknown. In a blinding flash of light, the energy coalesced into a radiant form, the maid, her expression now one of serenity. The voices swirled around them, a harmonious blend of sorrow and hope, as the spirits found their strength in unity. With a final, heartfelt plea, Mia called out, "You are free. Let go of the pain." The mirror pulsed, and the boundaries between the living and the dead shimmered and faded. The spirits released their burdens, rising into the light, their anguished cries transforming into whispers of gratitude. As the last remnants of darkness dissipated, the mansion trembled one final time, the weight of decades of sorrow lifted. The explorers felt a profound stillness settle over the house, a peace that had been long denied. With dawn breaking outside, the group emerged from the mansion, their hearts lighter, knowing they had helped restore balance to the Lui family's legacy. The Minxiong Ghost House stood behind them, no longer just a haunted relic, but a testament to the power of understanding and compassion. In sharing the stories of love, loss, and redemption, they had woven a new narrative, one that honored the past while embracing the future. And as they walked away, the morning sun illuminated the mansion, casting away the shadows for good. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you liked this story.